What's going on, Falcon Fan? This is Maricondo coming back at you with another video. Today, Falcon Fan Talk on a Wednesday. Haven't talked to you guys in a while. Been kind of slow in Falcons land. However, today we did hear some news by the Atlanta Falcons clearing up some cap space so we can be able to do some things, maybe further in free agency, but especially being able to sign a draft class. And we know Terry Fontenot really likes to have some money going into the season as well. So we'll talk about that. I'll also talk about, we heard from Leonard Floyd yesterday, about what he think he's gonna be able to bring to Atlanta Falcons. We'll have to find out. We know he's on the back end of his career, but however, I really still think he can be productive. We'll talk about the Kirk Cousins situation, knowing the quarterback movement around the league, what that means for Kirk Cousins, and how the Atlanta Falcons will be affected by that. Then last but not least, we'll talk a little draft, which is getting closer and closer to that day where the Atlanta Falcons hopefully go and get an edge rusher for the first time that we haven't seen in a long time. So guys, with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the notification bell so you know I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys are here to talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come here and talk about. That's right, these Atlanta Falcons. What's up, Terry T? All right, so let's get to it, guys. The first topic, like I said, the Falcons create cap space. So we know about one of the moves. It happened earlier in the in the free agency period where they're actually extended Jake Matthews. That deal actually made to actually get up under the cap. But that move was made. They extended Grady, not Grady, of course, not Grady. Jake Matthews' contract, 2-year extension. So that really helped get them up under the cap space. So that was a good thing. Then at this point, they just restructured AJ Terrell contract where they was able to free up $10 million in cap space, and also Chris Lindstrom. These are some of the moves that we kind of assumed that they could make, earlier before free agency started, because these some guys they just paid AJ Terrell last year. Chris Lindstrom is all-pro guard, so we knew both of those guys going to be here for a while. So extending or restructuring those guys was a no-brainer, and you can see that coming a mile away. What they was able to do was clear up, with those three moves along, cleared up $28.5 million in cap space, which today brings them to about $12 million after all the free agent signings. So right now, the Atlanta Falcons are $12 million over the cap, which means they could have some more room if they wanted to go out and sign some more free agents. It's still to be seen. One thing about the free agent class, I talked about, it was a lot of guys that was available, but you got to look at what Atlanta Falcons at and their roster, and you could bring in older guys and determine where those guys put you over the map. But it's one of the videos that I had a while back when I talk about the youth that Atlanta Falcons have on this roster, and some of these guys, you got to start seeing these guys develop, right? In the last couple seasons drafts, the Atlanta Falcons have drafted 4 defensive linemen, right? And you have to see these guys start to develop. You look at a guy like Taquan Graham, that they drafted. That was in 21. They during the first draft, and Taquan Graham, never really got a chance to develop because he had older guys playing in front of him. He did sustain that injury that one season, but he has the opportunity. They actually re-signed Taquan Graham to a 1-year deal, so he still have opportunity to be better. But you look at guys like Zach Harrison, right? That they signed from Ohio State in the 3rd round a couple of seasons ago. We need to see Zach Harrison take their next step, right? That's what we want to see. This is how did a team actually win a draft, right? You can't determine what a team win a draft the first year, maybe not even the second year. Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 years. Some of these guys to hit the ground and run, especially guys in the 3rd rounds. Those first round picks, yes, you want to see them, flourish right away. But some of these guys, the later round picks, you want to see those guys start to develop throughout their career. And that's where we're at with a guy like Zach Harrison. You look at the moves that they made last year with Braylon Trice. We know what happened to him. He took an ACL injury, so we'll determine when he's coming back. We never got an opportunity to see, what potential that he could bring to the table. You look at a guy like Brandon Dorless, did not get a lot of playing time because he had a lot of, veterans playing in front of him. And then Root Roro, a guy that sustained a couple of injuries during the season, early in training camp and then in the season as well. So he's another guy that did not get a lot of, the nuts playing times. But all these guys now have an opportunity to step into those roles and be productive, right? You look at what Raheem Morris was able to do with the young defensive lineman that he got, that he had when he was in Los Angeles. That's what you want to be able to see, right? You got to have good coaching. You got to see development out these guys, and this is how you can actually build a good team with young guys, because they're on the cheaper pay scale. But you want to know if you can draft as well, right? Because if your draft not working, so the whole idea of going out and people not liking the moves that Atlanta Falcons made in the free agency, first of all, it wasn't like a lot of home run guys that you can say. A lot of guys that was a little bit older, right? So Atlanta Falcons going to have to make a choice on that. They did. They went and got Leonard Floyd. We'll talk about him in just a minute. But for the most part, Atlanta Falcons went and got role players to add to the depth of their line. But what they're hoping, what they're expecting, they want the young talent to actually take hold. That's what we want to see from this Atlanta Falcons team. They are young in some areas, especially in that defensive front with like guys like Rook and Brandon and Braylon, right? You got Zach. All those guys are young. They are young. They're in either the second or third seasons. Now you got David Amanyala, who's a veteran. They brought back Kentavious Streak, right? So they got some mixture a little bit, but at the same time, we need these guys to develop. That's what the Atlanta Falcons banking on. That's why they changed their defensive line coach, because you want to see improvement there. You got to be able to get it done with your youth. That's how you build a team, right? The Atlanta Falcons a little bit, especially in 2025, is the cap is a little messed up because of the Kirk Cousins deal. So they wasn't going to be able to make a lot of, splashy moves anyway. But at the same time, you wanted to see the Atlanta Falcons youth start to grow. You look at guys like AJ Terrell, just got his first contract after his rookie contract, right? You look at a guy like Jesse Bates, who's probably one of the best players on the defense. They brought back Mike Hughes, who have 2 solid seasons with Atlanta Falcons, right? Caden Ellis is coming in his own finally, right? Coming from New Orleans. I think he had one of his best seasons that you could see from a linebacker in Caden Ellis. Bringing over Divine Diablo, guy that has the speed, something that the Atlanta Falcons like, especially a guy like Jeff Ulbrich, their speed at that linebacker position. So you like the moves that they have made, bringing in Jamal Agnew to be special teams, our Jordan Fuller, bringing in safety, that veteran presence, guy's been in the league 5 or 6 years. So the moves they made was solid moves for Atlanta Falcons, guys that have familiarity with the coaching staff already. But the biggest thing that you want to see from this Atlanta Falcons defense this year is the youth to start to make a step. Having guys like David Amanyala and guys like Leonard Floyd and team should help out a lot. But what we want to see is our younger guys to take the next step. We still got Armor Ebiketie on the team, still got D'Angelo Malone, guys that need to coming in the contract year need to start making some moves themselves. So that's what we're talking about when we're looking at this cap space and going into the draft. Maybe the Atlanta Falcons make some more move. Maybe they create their cap space because there was another guy that they wanted to target. There's still guys out there like Matthew Judon. Do they maybe bring him back? Right, he's still out there. But at some point in time, you got to let these young guys, do their things and start to do some dividends, because Terry Fontenot, if you look at his first draft, right, we talked about it, he had 9 draft picks, only 2 guys in that first draft is still on the roster, and most of those guys that's not on the roster, it's not even in the league. Now some is, but most of them there's not. So 4 years later, you can say that he failed the draft, right? That first draft that he had. Now he kills. One thing we can say about Terry Fontenot, his regime, his first round picks, it's been stellar. Right? You can say Kyle Pitts didn't live up to the 4th overall pick, but Kyle Pitts been a solid NFL player since he's been in the league. He has not lived up to that number 4 overall pick, but he has been a solid NFL player in the league. But you look at the other three moves so far, you would say all those was a home run. So, but you look at the 2nd round, 3rd round, 4th round picks, you start to question, the scouting department and wonder can Atlanta Falcons find good, solid players. But we still looking at this youth class that we got, and we're going to find out here, this upcoming season because these guys going to get a lot of opportunities to prove themselves. So, and guys like Zach Harrison, guys like Braden Trice, guys like Brandon Dorless, guys like Ruko Ororo, guys like Armor Ebiketie, guys like D'Angelo Malone, all those guys is not even over 25 or 26 guys. That's so these guys got opportunity to grow, and we'll see what happens. Look at some of these comments. It's about time they restructured. Like I told you, dude, you didn't tell me nothing. Barely adds more dead cap in future years, Honda, but players love it. Money pocket now instead of later. Yeah, but these guys are going to be on the roster. By the time they get to to that dead cap spot, they'll probably be don't got extensions, both for those guys. AJ Terrell just got his, so it'll be a while anyway. But Kirsten Lynch will probably sign another contract here before we even get to the end of his contract because he's just that good. It's all about the draft with the LA Rams style, fitted the coach well, rookie year that shined, the good draft because of no first or second round guys. Yep, they had a great draft. You really like what they did. Said it's not Kyle Pitt's fault, of course not. I agree with that. He had a stellar first season, but since that point on, the quarterback play has not been good enough for Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitt has been hanging with MPG. Yeah, you're right. I seen that. I think they're developing chemistry, man. I think Kyle Pitt's gonna show us something this year. But we be saying that every year, so we just got to wait to see if it's going to happen. So I'm not gonna say that. But anyway, guys, I really like the fact that the Atlanta Falcons created some cap space. I know you do as well. Let's see if they go out and sign some other people. They still have room to make some more if they wanted to, because they could touch Jesse Bates' contract if they so choose. They still can make roster cuts. A guy like David Onyemata will clear about $10 million as well. So they still have opportunity to make some moves if they so choose. But looking at the free agency pool out there, it's a lot of veteran guys that that can come in and like maybe take you over the top if you're the team that think you're ready to compete right away. I don't feel the Atlanta Falcons are that close right now. So why go out and get a veteran guy? I think you need to develop your young talent, and I think if they take that approach, have a really good explosive offense, a young, talented, fast team that's going to get out there and see what these guys are all about. They got to find out at some point what this defense is all about. So that's what it's all about. Eddie says they got to know how to use Kyle Pitts. They just got to target him. It's not really about using him. Just like in his first season when they didn't have nobody on the roster, Calvin Ridley left in 5 games. He was targeted a lot. They target Kyle Pitts, he'd get his touches. He's talented enough to be able to do good things with the balls in his hand. Now, sometimes he do, seem like he lacks a daily coming off the line and not running his routes completely because he don't think he's gonna get the ball. But he's a freak, man. And if he gets the ball, I think he can be dynamic. So I really don't know if it's really about how to use him. I just think he need to be featured in the offense a little bit more. Sometimes he might need to be the first read, vice being the third or fourth read. That's what seems like some of those things happen. And he says those vets are left are just guys for role players. Yeah, it's not that many. It's not that many vets either. So you're right about that. You saying the same thing? All that matters. Yep. I agree. We pretty much saying the same old thing. All right, let's get to the next topic. Next topic, let's talk about Leonard Floyd, right? Leonard Floyd coming in, and we heard from him the other day during the press conference and what he had to say. A guy coming back to his home state, Georgia, Unfortunately, he's coming back in the tail in his career. But if you look at Leonard Floyd over the last 5 seasons, his lowest sack number has been like 8 sacks. So does have the potential to be a double digit sack guy for us. He definitely need to bring that veteran presence to the table. He has familiarity with Raheem Morris. And he stated that he wanted to have let this be one of his best seasons for a sack. So he's motivated. He's come back, plays for home time. His mom goes to tailgate party. She's a Falcon fan through and through. So you know, hopefully he's able to come out and deliver for us. That's that's what we'll have to see. That's definitely what we'll have to see. But you know, I like what we heard from Leonard Floyd. I don't expect him to be the savior for the Atlanta Falcons. That's why they need to go out and draft a defensive back. You look at my last couple mocks I did not pick a defensive back in the draft. I mean, I did not pick a pass rusher in the draft, right? I picked Malachi Starks, and that was right after his pro day, right? Everybody hyped about Malachi Starks, and I was like, maybe he might be the best player on the board when they get ready to pick, right? The next pick I picked Will Johnson, right? I picked him, but I do believe if one of those pass rushers on the board, Atlanta Falcons need to take one off the board. Um, we heard that Raheem Morris did go to the Mike Green, pro day. So we'll see. We'll see. But so it's definitely some pass rushers that's warranted at 15 that Atlanta Falcons could definitely pull off the board. So not too we won't be too upset they pull any one of those guys. They had Matthew Stafford. Um, yeah, whatever, bro. Michael Porter Jr. has a strong arm like Stafford. Yep, and he's younger. He is younger. What's going on, Michael? Yep. So real quick, Leonard Floyd is really not a whole lot to say. We just got to see what he does, man. I think he's going to bring a better that veteran presence. He can teach, the art of pass rushing because he's been really successful through his career. You know, I'm not trying to equate it to what a guy like Dwight Freeney brought to the team back, when he came and played for the Atlanta Falcons 2016 when the Atlanta Falcons went to the Super Bowl. But you do like veterans that come on, you know, he knows all the ways to get after the quarterback and what needs to happen. One thing he did mention what I like was, you have to rush as a group. When you started going trying to be individual out there, it never works, right? When they run games and stuff like that, sometimes when you run a game, it's not for you to get the sack, it's for your teammate. So you need to do it to the best of your ability because you might free up somebody else. And that's what it's all about. And that's what we kind of saw from the Atlanta Falcons that last part of the season when they went from 9 sacks to 31 sacks, right? They started to rush as a group, and they started getting make shit happen. So that's what I liked about what we saw from the Atlanta Falcons pass rush. And hopefully they can start the season off in that kind of manner. No guys that they think going to be the top guy. They go out there, rush as a group, and go out and start putting some pressure on the quarterback. T. Terry said, I like Will Johnson. Saw some of his film. He can be a lockdown cornerback, 100%. That's why I picked him in one of my mock drafts. Yes, he's solid. This year was kind of not what he wanted because he had the turf toe issue. But if you go back and look at the film he had when they won the national championship, he played lights out. So yeah, definitely. If he's on the board, I don't think he will be on the board at 15. To be honest with you, I think he might go before. But if he is on the board, and it all depends on the Falcons beat board, guys. Will Johnson, Malachi Starks, any of those pass rusher, I'm cool with it, man. Even the Shamar Stewart, right, who has nothing but ceiling. His ceiling is way up here, his floor, and he had like a 1.5 sacks in college. So I don't know. And then that's his whole career. Like he didn't do nothing in his college career. But he tested out of the yin game, maybe just like a Trayvon Walker, right? So Trayvon Walker. So you never know what you're going to get from a guy. And Trayvon Walker now, double-digit sacks his last 2 seasons. So he finally started to turn the corner. Right, started out slow, but that's what I mean about you can't judge the draft off the first year. So, um, Eddie said Stewart is a man. I agree. He's a man. He's a dog, man. But like I said, and that's my problem. The problem with guys like Jamar Stewart is the problem with the draft in itself. That's just my opinion. That's my opinion because they claim they look at tape, right? And you look at tape, right? You cannot say he was productive, right? The tape says that, right? The numbers don't lie. The tape does not say that he was productive, right? But if he's testing, his ceiling could be here. So that's why you it's like a crapshoot to me, right? Because you look at a guy like Anthony Richardson, right? Anthony Richardson was not good in Florida. He was not. I don't understand why people want to say he was not good at Florida. We all knew that, right? But they was going after his ceiling because he threw the ball well. He was athletic, right? He was real athletic, can run the ball, things like that. But now you get to the NFL, and what we seen in Florida is sort of what you're seeing now, right? The ceiling is not there. It's more his floor. What you're looking at. So I like Shamar Stewart. I would not be upset the Atlanta Falcons take him because they're betting on the ceiling of what he could possibly be because he is a freak. But at the same time, the draft is flawed because these scouts, they looking on, the build of a player, athletic ability, his twitch ability, flexibility, all that stuff, and really look at the film. You can say, can they play or can they not play? And that's what they should be going off of. I'm just saying. That's me getting on my soapbox just a little bit, but but so I wouldn't be upset if they took Shamar Stewart though. I'm not gonna not be upset if they take him. Floyd said his trainer was Chuck Smith in off season. Chuck Smith is a dog, man. He get a lot of pass rushers ready to go. And he was one of the best pass rushers in Atlanta Falcon history too. Go back and look at what Chuck Smith was able to do back in the day. Here's another MG type player with no stop engine. We're gonna find out, man. We're gonna find out. Stewart make the whole front better. We'll see. I said if we take him, I'm cool with Stewart. I'm fine with if we take him. I'm just telling you the statistics do not show. The statistics show that he not know he would not go in the fourth round. I can promise you that. He'll be a first round pick because of his. I mean, he tested a 99 percentile of athletic ability. And then, like I said, Trayvon Walker did that, and he went number 1 overall. So Shamar Stewart is going in the first round, no doubt. And somebody's going to get a freak, man. Hopefully it just translates into to be something really special. Now don't look at his last year stats. You can look at his career stats, not just last year. Go look at his all his years there. He never did nothing. He I'm not just looking at last year's stats. I'm looking at his whole career, right? Because you look at a guy like Michael Williams who had only 5.5 sacks, but he was playing with a ankle injury. So I'm not just looking at his last year stats. All right, guys. The next topic we're going to talk about, getting off Leonard Floyd, we're going to talk about the Kirk Cousins situation. So we all see what's going on around the NFL with the quarterback carousel. We knew that it was 3 potential starter quarterbacks still out there. That's Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and of course, if somebody wanted to take Kirk Cousins off our hands. So right, those are 3 situations. We saw yesterday that Russell Wilson signed a 1-year deal potentially with the New York Giants, right? They already had signed Jameis Winston. They signed a 1-year deal with the New York Giants, so he's in New York. You see that the Steelers still waiting on Aaron Rodgers. It seems like Aaron Rodgers is a bust now. Russell Wilson's off the board. They could take a guy in the draft, at 21 if they so decide. But at some point now you're looking at it that the Atlanta Falcons, um, the Atlanta Falcons is maybe stuck with Kirk Cousins. Now, it's one other team that's out there that is floating around that potentially that Atlanta Falcons could definitely. I mean that could definitely consider Kirk Cousins, and that's the Cleveland Browns, right? It's reported now that they're thinking about taking a dual Carter at number 2. If they do that, they would trade for Kirk Cousins, right? We know the Deshaun Watson situation, right? Kirk Cousins would not be a long-term fix for them at that positions. Deshaun Watson probably not a long-term fit as well. So I don't think the New York Giants or the Cleveland Browns taking a veteran quarterback stop them from drafting a quarterback in the draft as well. So let's keep that in mind. They still could do that because I don't think Russell Wilson, James Winston, and then a Kirk Cousins, if he was to get traded for by the Cleveland Brown, is a long-term solution. And you're still going to be searching that quarterback for a quarterback. So just wanting to put that out there. It seems like a foregone conclusion now that Cam Ward look like he's going to be going number 1. They already got him penciled in there. But the Cleveland Browns, the New York Giants are now a spot where they solidified their quarterback position for this year. Potentially the Cleveland Browns, we still don't know yet, but they still can go get draft quarterbacks. But that just leaves the Cleveland Browns. Now, Kirk Cousins would definitely have to waive his trade clause for that to happen if they decide to give up and I think Atlanta Falcons take any pick right now for Kirk Cousins, and that would be good. I think they'll take any pick because they're just trying to get off. They already paid Kirk Cousins, and see, this is where we understand this. Kirk Cousins already owed $90 million. So $27 million this year, $10 million next year. Now, if we trade Kirk Cousins, the $10 million next year is out. So in essence, we pay Kirk Cousins $90 million for a year, right? 90 million. So the guy knows how to get paid. They just say that, right? Pretty much paid him $90 million. That money is gone, it's already sunk. So it don't matter. They released him. They would only save that $10 million that they had to own for next year anyway. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Falcons able to make a trade, you know, trade Kirk Cousins before the draft or after the draft, and that's what Kirk Cousins could be weighing on, depending on what the Cleveland Browns decided on the draft. Do he want to go to that team because he don't want to have the same situation they just had with Michael Penix? Going to a team thinking you're gonna be a starter and they draft a quarterback, right? Um, and that could definitely be the case with a Cleveland team, or they could take the sure thing in a dual Carter or even Travis Hunter right there at number 2. So we'll definitely see how this is going to pan out. But right now, it seems like it's really getting really slim for somewhere Kirk Cousins can go. He could go back to Minnesota as well. I don't know how that. I know they're talking to Ryan Tannehill, but he could go back to Minnesota. I think he would be welcome to that. I don't know what that would mean for JJ McCarthy, but you'll just have to see where that all pans out. So, you said Sanders stock has went down. Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. I just don't understand. Um, if A-Rod stopped screwing around, I wouldn't be entertained. I mean, either the guy 41, man, and that really that's another team. They do bring in Aaron Rodgers. I still don't think they take them out the quarterback pool as well. So I just don't know. T. Terry, you mentioned Shadur Sanders. I'm not going to go talk long about it, but you know, he was a top 5 pick after the season ended, right? That's what most people were saying. Now all of a sudden, it's teams are lukewarm. I mean, I don't know why. Um, from what I seen, and this is a perfect example. I go back to watching the tape. The guy just won games, right? And I don't think it was the greatest circumstances, right? He wasn't at Alabama where he had all 5-star offensive line. He did not have a running game. Um, and he completed 70-some% of his passes, man. I just don't understand it. But for every reason, it's all about, like I said, it's all about the physical abilities of what scouts look at. And sometimes, that hurts a player, right? Like you look at a guy like Matt Jones that went number 3 overall. Um, and he was at Alabama, all places, right, with talent, just abundance of talents around him, so much talent, right? And he went number 3 overall. You look at a guy like Shadir Sanders, who's probably more accurate, you know, in everything, and he didn't have near as much talent around him, and he might drop. So I don't understand at all, but somebody one day might be able to explain it to me. But we'll see what happens with Shadur, and it could be all smoke and mirrors. Like I said, it still does not. I know that the New York Giants have 3 quarterbacks on the roster right now, but neither one of those guys are the future. So they still could draft Shadur, which would be crazy. You know, the Cleveland Browns could still draft Shadur as well. So we'll just have to see what happens. I know he's ready to go wherever he want to go. Maybe going in a later team that's a little bit more put together, it might be the best thing ever happened to him. So we'll just see. Eddie says there are plenty of developmental quarterbacks in this draft. I could potentially start along their rookie season, do well, but 2 through 4 round picks. Yeah, I don't care about other quarterbacks. He said Minnesota is trading that for Cap. He says Mr. Blank took his 2 Michaels out. He really loved Michael Vick. Now another Michael. Yo, and you know what was interesting? It is funny. Like Michael Vick said in that little clip, it was 2 left-handed quarterbacks, right? It's something about those left-handed quarterbacks, man. They just I like it because they wired different, left-handed guys, right? So we're gonna see what happens. I'm excited about this season. Not gonna get my hopes up too much because Michael Penix only played 3 games, but from what we've seen, it's really a lot of reasons to be really excited about what Michael Penix could be. They're young, creative mind. Coaches want the pure athleticism under center. 2018 to be exact, like that. Yeah, yeah. Look what Anthony Richardson. Get athletic quarterbacks all you want to. I'm just saying, man. Yeah, and I mean, and it makes it seem like Shador is like a statue. He's not a statue. There's a lot of plays you can go look on film where he escaped the pocket and made plays down the field. It's not like he just straight up. He wasn't a Matt Jones. He made plays, off schedule plays. He made a lot of them, and the fact that so that's to me, I just think it's a bunch of baloney. But whatever. We're kind of all these teams are waiting for the Manning quarterback to come out. But only one team can get him. So only one team can get Arch Manning. Right? It's funny how it depends on your name, right? He got the Manning name, and everybody waiting on him. Shadur got the Sanders name, and everybody wanted to shit on him. So just saying. Just saying, man. Just saying. Just saying. All right, guys. Last topic we're going to talk about today is the draft. And this draft class, we talked about a lot so far. We talked about, the front end of the draft class, and especially, 1 through 10 here is going to be really interesting, especially with the quarterbacks in the mix of it. But a lot of people said this is a deep class, but it's not a lot of front end talent in this class. So, that's why I like where Atlanta is at the 15th spot, because they can probably get a really good player. They can actually even move down and still get a really good player. So I like where Atlanta Falcons is, especially with this draft class, because, the Atlanta Falcons probably need to move out of the 15 and move down a little bit to get some more draft capital to build to that depth. If they could do that, that would be great. Move back to like 21. Let's just say, hypothetically here, Shadur does drop, and Pittsburgh is 21, and they want to move up to 15 and get Shadur, to pair him with an Aaron Rodgers. That would be, first of all, that'd be really good for Shadur to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers, a really good, solid organization, first of all, and then to learn behind a guy like Aaron Rodgers would also be great. He would not have to start this year. He can sit back, learn the game, and let the game come to him. That would be a great spot, something like that. And the Atlanta Falcons can pick up a draft pick as well. So something in those lines. You never know what's going to happen in this draft. That's why the draft is so unpredictable. We saw that last year at the number 8th overall pick when the Atlanta Falcons picked Michael Penix Jr. And it shook up the whole draft because I believe a lot of teams waiting for Michael Penix to drop, and he did not, right? It's going to be interesting to see where all these running backs go. It's a lot of running backs that's out there that's really talented. How high do Genty go? How high do he go in the draft, right? It'd be interesting to see where Travis Hunter goes. A lot of people talking about, the quarterbacks and Abdul Carter coming out saying he's the best player in the draft, but not a lot of people not talking about Travis Hunter, which is, definitely on a lot of people, big board as the number 1 player in this draft. So it's going to be interesting to see where he end up as well. You look at some of the tight ends, like Tyler Warren. I mean, it's a lot of good tight ends in this draft as well. But of course, the Atlanta Falcons looking for defense, and the defense line is really deep. So Atlanta Falcons can double up in this draft and get 2 quality young talented players on that defensive front. It's going to be once again a deep front 7. They kept 8 defensive linemen last year. They double down this year on their front. They could potentially do the same thing. So we'll definitely see how it pans out. But I'm excited. We're getting closer and closer to this draft. Be on the lookout. Really, what I really want you guys to be on the lookout for the Atlanta 30 visits. I'm gonna start highlighting some of those guys. They could potentially take in the later round. Remember, it's kind of hard this year because Atlanta Falcons don't have a third, fourth, or fifth, or they don't have a third or fifth round pick this year. They do have a fourth, so they got a first, second, a fourth. Then they got 2 7th-round picks. So they don't have a 3rd round pick, and they don't have a 5th round pick. So some of those guys like a Tyler Algier that Atlanta Falcons was able to get in the 5th round a couple of years ago, they won't be able to do something like that this year. And that's when you find some of your best players in that 4th and 5th round range. So they still have opportunity to get a good guy in the 4th round, but they got to really hit their mark in their 1st and 2nd round pick. If they do that, I think the Atlanta Falcons really be good because when you only got 5 picks and 2 of your picks are 7th-round picks, you're really not expecting a lot from those 2 7th-round picks. It'd be really hard for those guys to make the roster depending on what positions they get drafted in. So that's going to be interesting. But this draft class is deep. I like it, and we're going to definitely see what it's all about. Let's see here. A couple things here. Shedeur is a Troy Aikman or a Dan Marino type quarterback. Shedeur is more athletic than Dan Marino and Troy Aikman. He's accurate like those guys, but he's just more athletic than those guys. But I do agree that he is really accurate like both of those guys, but he's more athletic than both of those guys. Now, he wants to stay in the pocket, but he does have the ability to move out of the pocket if he need to. He's not a statue. And they be locking up a lot of undrafted free agents. Yeah. And Atlanta Falcons is going to look at a lot of undrafted guys this year. I agree with that 100%. And that's good because you guys opportunity. Right now you think about it, it's not really a 53-man roster anymore. It's more like a 69-man roster, right? Because with those 16 practice squad guys, they are allowed to come up and down, that practice squad throughout the year. So we've seen that right now. I think it's a three-time limit of being, called up, and then once you get called up that 3rd time, they have to bring you into the roster. But it's more like a 69-man roster. You do got to expect injuries and things like that. So, getting undrafted is not really like a career killer now. All right. You could definitely do some good things being an undrafted guy. So I wouldn't, long as you pick up on a team, because one thing about the NFL, you'll get your opportunity. And once you get your opportunity, you got to be able to deliver on the opportunity. So that's what it's really going to boil down to. That's what it's really going to boil down to. But guys, there you have it today. I'm glad I had to come in and talk to you on the Falcons Fan Talk. We talked about the Atlanta Falcons actually going out and creating some cap space. See if they make any moves prior to the draft on any more free agents. We'll definitely be on the watch out for that. We liked what we heard from Leonard Floyd. See can he, bring that hometown feel and have one of his best seasons. Let's see what he can do. The Kirk Cousins situation is really getting slim. Is he's going to get traded to the Cleveland Browns? We'll definitely be on the lookout for that. And last but not least, this exciting draft class. Really intriguing things going to be happening through the draft, and we'll definitely see what our Atlanta Falcons do. So, guys, give me your thoughts on all those topics, and I'll be back with you guys later with some more draft talk. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.